Welcome to your new home for football, where you'll get real international coverage from real football fans. We're talking Brighton, England, Birmingham, England, London, England, Glasgow, Scotland, Dublin, Ireland, Tulsa, Oklahoma, and St. Louis, Missouri. You'll get coverage from all the big time leagues. Join in on live day match watch-alongs. Enjoy live football debates. Nothing but all things football. Catch us live 8 PM UK time on Thursdays on all major platforms, or listen to us the next day on the Sports Social Podcast Network. This is Football Nation, your home for all things football. Good evening. Welcome to the Football Nation podcast. Tonight we are joined by Crazy Boom, and as you can see, we've got two new people joining us tonight. Kai Stats Football and Paul, and you might know him as the FM Recruiter, join us for the very first time on the Football Nation podcast. Boys, welcome.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate. Happy to be here, as always.
Good man. Boom, how are you tonight?
I'm good.
Good stuff.
How are you, Chris? Because you've asked us, mate, but how are you?
I'm good, thank you very much for asking. I'm a wee bit flummoxed after what I've just been seeing over the last couple of days with our main topic for tonight, the famous Chelsea Football Club.
And some of the results this week have made his opinions on football a little bit spicy as well.
Yeah, he's been angry, hasn't he?
Yeah,
yes, I've been angry.
Quite angry in the group.
I'm not happy with football at the moment, so football is literally on tenterhooks at this moment in time for myself. So we'll get right down to business tonight. So the Premier League games over the weekend. So we're going to start with the most important game of the weekend. Manchester United 2, Man City 1. And the big talking point over the weekend, Marcus Rashford interfering with play with Bruno Fernandes's goal. Boom, I'm going to come to you first since you are the Manchester United supporter. What did you think about the game?
I thought the first half of that game was very just cagey. Like, both sides didn't really. We had slightly of the better chances from like Bruno and Rashford. You had a poor touch that made the ball go away from him one-on-one with the keeper. So the game 0-0 halftime is what it was, and then second half we had to take off Martial. The play went completely against us. It was all City the moment that second half started.
Yeah,
and then they scored the goal, and when that goal went in with Grealish in the 60th minute, I thought the worst. I was like, this is going to either stay 1-0 or this is going to go to 2 or 3 in a matter of minutes. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, this incident came from nowhere because we had no chance whatsoever. And then suddenly, a ball from Casemiro through Rashford's running to it, and suddenly Bruno scores out of nowhere. I wasn't expecting Bruno to hit the target at that point. Anyway, I was expecting him to miss.
He doesn't often hit the target now.
So when it went in, and I was like, I didn't celebrate because the flag went up instantly. I was like, of course he's offside. Of course it was offside. And then we saw the hysterics, Bruno getting angry at the linesman, and the ref and the linesman had a chat together and then decided it was a goal. Now at the time, as a United fan, we take that. We go, clearly a goal. No controversy whatsoever. 100% the goal. Never touched the ball. That was my opinion at the time of that happening, because you want to be back into the game. Yeah. But looking back at that incident from afterwards and stuff, and all people's opinions of it, you can understand the frustration. Like, you do see Rashford in an offside position, and that does stop. Ake does clearly play offside at that point.
Yeah.
It comes down to bad wording of the law. The law of that rule is very fishy wording that you just interpret what you think, that Rashford technically didn't stop anyone getting to the ball.
Mm-hmm.
which is the technicality of this situation, which is why everyone's angry with it.
Really?
And
really?
and Kyle Walker stopped. He didn't continue. He could have himself continued to run after Bruno.
Yeah.
Because the others well played Rashford offside, but Kyle Walker is the only one that notices Bruno still running at that moment in time. So and then they never settled down after that. City, they lost their heads from that incident. They never settled down, and then suddenly it was 2-1 to Manchester United out of nowhere. I called my dad at the time saying, I have no idea what happened, but we're suddenly winning the game.
So, Kai, what was your opinion on the goal that was fortuitous for Manchester United, shall we say?
Well, no football fan looks at that and thinks onside. Firstly, can I just say with Man United, I've seen some Man United fans defending it on Twitter. There's no need to defend it. You should revel in it because you've been gifted a dodgy goal, and that's better than scoring a screamer from 30 yards out, especially in a derby.
Against your rivals, like you could annoy all your rivals for a week.
It's better. It's literally better scoring a goal through ill-gotten means sometimes just to rile them up, and it has an effect on the other team as well because they'll feel had them by licking their wounds. Then you go again and score another one as they did. What I'll say, Rashford didn't touch it, but he shepherded it and almost chaperoned it into Bruno Fernandes. You see, Ederson was a bit sus coming off his line because of that movement, and then it did end up making the target easier for Fernandes because he had time to stroke it home.
Yeah,
it's not a goal, but it did for about 3 days spice up the title race. Man United found themselves in the title race for 3 days, I think, and now they've blown it again.
I mean, technically, points-wise, we're not in the title race. I never said we were in the title race ever, even when we won that game. We're not winning the title, but technicality, points-wise, it's still possible. We're not in it. We are not winning the title. I'm saying this now. But I can understand people trying to as Ten Hag said himself after that, fans can dream, but he won't. We know we're well off our project at this point. The project just started with this one.
The interesting thing about Man United is, for so long, for almost the last decade, they've been craving, okay, we need to be good again. We need to be good again. And now that they are good again, they're like, oh no, we're not that good. We're not that good. We're not going to win the league.
It's like one step back, one step forward, 5 steps back.
Because Ten Hag is creating a game by game idea with this team. Like, he doesn't want anyone to be thinking like, oh, we're going to win this, we're going to win that. He's concentrated the next game. And with that controversial decision, it swings and roundabouts in football. That decision went against City and for us, and then in Palace, this week, decision for a penalty went against us. So it happened. Things come around in football. Like, some decisions go against you, some decisions go for you.
What about you, Paul? What was your
shocking? It was shocking. I mean, I went on Twitter like pretty much straight away, and everybody was saying it was offside. And then, like Kai said, you had the United fans going, "Oh no, it's definitely not." Even to the point where a United fan edited Marcus Rashford out of the picture to prove that he wasn't offside. Like, how? It doesn't prove anything. It doesn't.
But I did love that headline though. It's like, fan edits Rashford out. It changes everything. Yeah. I was like, it doesn't change anything.
It doesn't change anything because Rashford is the player offside. So if you edit him out, the defenders are going to act differently. The keeper's going to act differently. It was just the worst decision I saw in a very long time.
And the problem we have here is the rules, the way they're written. It's kind of...
Yeah. What I didn't like, though, is that we've got VAR in place for a reason. And the referee and the linesman decided on the pitch to overturn it. And then the check was like 2 seconds. It wasn't a long check for VAR. And when Fernandes takes his shot, Rashford is about half a yard away from the ball. He's interfered all the way.
To be honest, it's more the ref that changed the decision because the linesman fully thought it was offside. He just had a conversation with him, and the ref
linesman just needs
a
bigger set of cojones, and he can. He should have stuck with it. But I think, yes, it was a bad decision. But City then just crumbled, and that is not something we've seen City do.
And to be honest, for most of that game, City didn't look like the City that we've seen previously. They were not. They were.
I think even when they've looked like that, though, they've still not crumbled
as bad
as quickly as they did.
Yeah, they're not crumbled.
It wasn't even. Yeah, well, I mean, say crumbled, it quite literally just fell apart, didn't it?
But,
yeah,
you know, it was shocking.
I think a draw was a more reflect of how bad both teams were at certain parts of the game. I would have reckoned the draw would have been
when City scored, I texted my mate, said, you should have been 1 or 2 up after the first half. You're gonna throw this away now. But so I think on the balance, like you say, boom, a draw but probably would have been a fair result. But you're not going to care. Happy days, you take it. That's just the way football is.
And as United fans, we enjoyed those 3 days of fans completely losing their minds.
I know, one of the things I liked, and as you saw it, Boo, was somebody said that this version of Rashford now is better than any version of Thierry Henry.
I did see that. I see that as well. Yeah.
Yes, United fans they're back, and I love it because they come out with some proper hogwash.
Yeah.
What was funny with that is you say those kind of comments, and then Rashford goes completely missing in Palace.
Yeah.
Well, it's it, isn't it? I said that to a friend. Rashford at 25, Thierry Henry was dominating the Premier League with Arsenal because he signed at 22.
Mm-hmm.
And people forget how young he was when he signed for Arsenal.
The resurgence of Rashford is very good this season, but he's I'm not going to compare him to best in the world or anything of that. He's just really good for us. He's our goal scorer at the moment in games.
You're about to offer him 300 grand as well a week, apparently.
There is rumors of that, but we do want him as a long-term deal because Ten Hag does believe there's a player in them that he's working on that we can see in the recent form. Apart from the latest game of Palace, he has been showing us there is something there, goal scoring wise.
I mean, I've kind of said regarding about Marcus Rashford. I mean, yes, he is a fantastic player, but he doesn't do it as often as he should, especially the last couple of years. I mean, obviously we had the COVID and obviously COVID, etc. Didn't help him out, kind of being.
And last season, he seemed very mentally not there.
Yeah. I mean, take Marcus Rashford when he kind of first burst onto the scene. He was outstanding. But he kind of went, like I said, he went off the boil as well. But like you said, he has came back. It's Ten Hag's probably philosophy that's kind of gave him the freedom to play again under other than when he was at Mourinho. Rangnick and Solskjaer as well. But my United fans need to get back and taking a level kind of keel, in my opinion, that yes, they've got, I mean, I said this to John last time we were on the podcast, they've got makings of a good team there. They're a few positions short, I would say. I mean, I would say they still need an out-and-out goal scorer. Guys going to get you 20, 30 goals a season.
Yeah.
If Casemiro gets suspended or injured, like as this weekend, who's going to replace him in that kind of centre midfield?
Super Scott. Come on.
I mean,
he did well for the first few games when we started winning. And
I mean, unless you put Fernandes back into that kind of midfield role, drop.
But, what we did against City was very good. That we put for the strength and stuff, we put Fred in the midfield.
Yeah, maybe play Fred, exactly. But yeah, I mean, it's a good win for Manchester United. I
want to shout out real quick to Wan-Bissaka. I thought he was done since the beginning of the season, but him coming back,
I think with English players that play for United and Liverpool and Arsenal, they are so overhyped that when they have one bad game or they have a bad spell, they get just slammed. You don't really get that with foreign players. Like Wan-Bissaka a couple of years ago was being told he was the best right back for England, but he wasn't being picked for England.
Yeah. But then he disappeared all this. He wasn't playing in any game this season, even when Dalot was suspended and stuff. And then recently coming back, I have been impressed with his showing for someone that's been out of the team for so long.
He did look impressive. I mean, I think he just needs a run of games and probably not as much of a slating when he has a bad one, because you look at Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's been awful, but give him some time, give him some back in, and he'll perform.
For example, the last few seasons, Fred has been criticized quite a lot. Now he's starting to be an all right player when he's under Ten Hag.
if you have Fred and McTominay as squad players, that's a good squad.
Yeah.
But when you're
I think
relying
that's why
on
he's probably Fred's getting a bit more slack, isn't he, this year because he's a squad player.
Yeah.
He's
And
not a starting 11.
a specific task, not start every game type player, but you can do a specific task and be a nuisance as he was in the derby.
We are overplaying Ericsson. I'll say at the moment. I think we really have no one to replace that role, so he's playing
kind of
every game.
Yeah.
But I think that would have been the plan, because obviously he's not going to last forever. I think you just get that good season out of him, get him for free, and then you start to then.
I mean, he has gotten 7 assists, which is amazing for on a free. He's one of the top assisters in the league.
And it's only Bruno Fernandes making more passes into the final third, so that does offer the creativity and then allows Bruno Fernandes to stay high. But again, as you said, it doesn't last forever. But with the type of profile he is, there's loads of different talents that you could go out and get, especially with Man United maybe looking 60-70% likely to get Champions League. It opens the door so wide to get pretty much whoever you want, as well with the financial backing. It makes it easy almost.
And with the potential new owners eventually. It depends on what we're going to get.
If you get owners that will rival Chelsea and City spending, United they'll be back where they have been for the last 30, 40 years. So I hope United don't get them, if I'm honest.
every rival United fans hope that we do, but everyone else does, which is what football is. Which is what football. It would be the same with Liverpool. A bunch of rival friends, Liverpool hope no one oil money buys Liverpool.
Yeah.
Now, there's talk about Spurs getting Qatari investment as well. 30% stake getting sold. That was open the door.
The only thing good about that is it's just a percentage, so it's not exactly.
But they would still be funding everything, I'd say. Yeah. And the beauty of it, because it's a minority stake, they'd be able to have that stake in Tottenham as well as having the major stake in PSG.
Yeah.
See, that's why they want the mediums, just a small percentage, because they don't want to sell PSG.
No, why would
exactly? I mean, so as we're going to go on to there, so we've got another team, as Boom just said, Liverpool. They had a bit of a shocker over the weekend, didn't they, Paul?
The worst Liverpool performance I've seen in 5 years.
I think that's what Klopp said. So the game.
Yeah, it's just so bad. There was no one player that came out of that performance with any credit. They were dreadful. Gapco doesn't look like the answer. There's just no positives you can say about it. Brighton, on the other hand, were amazing. They played so well and they've had such a good season that they outplayed Liverpool in every single department. McAllister, if Brighton can keep hold of him, I think they'll have a really good season next year. But I wouldn't be surprised to see Liverpool go in for him.
But that's what I was going to say. Do you think a big team, a bigger team like Liverpool or Manchester United? We're just talking about midfielders for Manchester United.
Yeah. There's one right there as well.
He's 24, 25 maybe at least.
I think I look at that Liverpool model and I remember when Southampton beat Liverpool. So Liverpool went out and bought Mane. Then they bought Van, and this could be that next. Oh, do you know what? We're going to come and raid you, because that's what Chelsea are doing.
Yeah.
There's obviously talent at Brighton, so they won't keep the big. If they won't keep the big players.
No.
But they've got to reinvest it, because they must have made 200 million in transfer sales this year, just on Chelsea alone.
I saw a joke with Trossard going that Brighton are just going to spawn an under 21 Venezuelan international that's probably going to be 10 times better.
FM regen.
Yep.
Kai, what about you? What do you think about the Brighton Liverpool game?
Well, firstly, I can firmly say I enjoyed it. As an Everton fan as well, I'm pretty happy to see Liverpool lose, because they do lose. They don't lose as often as Everton win.
Yeah, well, so especially this season.
Yeah, so when they lose, it's more of a big deal than when we win. So for them to be losing so much this season, it does make me feel a bit better when Everton also inevitably lose. But the match itself, I just thought Brighton were amazing. Solly March and Mitoma on the flanks were so good in receiving the ball in advanced areas. They received more progressive passes than anyone else by a lot. And then because of Liverpool's midfield three sitting deeper than they would about 2 seasons ago, it just allowed McAllister that space in the central area just to find them. And then Estupinian as well was getting a lot of the ball. And then you see the pass networks, it just gets getting the ball.
I think it shows how much Liverpool miss Wijnaldum or that type of player.
Yeah.
Because they've replaced Wijnaldum with Thiago, who's great for creativity, even though he doesn't get any assists. But they've now not got that player who's got a 90-minute engine at full pelt.
Yep.
They should have just given Wijnaldum whatever money he wanted, because he's obviously not an easy player to replace, and I think he was so undervalued and underappreciated when he was at Liverpool. That's now showing. It's a big hole in that midfield.
The interesting thing about that is, if you spoke to the match-going Liverpool fans, so when I lived in Liverpool, we'd speak to them quite often, and none of the match-going fans had a bad word to say about Wijnaldum.
Yeah.
And it was just the people watching it that from outside looking in that weren't able to track him through the 90 minutes. We're asking what does he do, but you don't really get that reflection when you're watching
That's it, isn't it? You'll know yourself, like from going to watch Wrexham. If you watch them on TV, you'll miss like everything that a midfield player does, because the camera's on the strikers or your defenders the whole time, and that midfielder who's just bombing around like a complete muppet for 90 minutes and putting his foot in everywhere. You don't see him.
Yeah,
but actually, he's the most important player.
Literally, how good has Luke Young been?
Exactly.
Hey, Chris, I said it the last time I was on this podcast, but I need to shout out Evan Ferguson.
Yes.
Once again, beautiful Irish striker. That assist that he did, and also him completely bullying Konate. Like, Konate went up to him and he literally pushed Konate off him. Being that young to show that much strength.
Yeah.
I mean, here's a thought for you with Liverpool. Van Dijk's out injured indefinitely. There's no scheduled return for him. How important is that going to be? Because when he was injured a couple of seasons ago, they fell apart.
And you started relying on Oxlade-Chamberlain again, which is interesting.
I mean,
I think that's down to injuries, isn't it?
I'm going to open this up to that team.
Diaz are injured.
I'm going to up this to the team. So, Jurgen Klopp's got a 7-year life cycle, it seems. He done 7 years at Mainz, 7 years at Dortmund. This is his 7th year at Liverpool. Do we think Jurgen Klopp will be there in the summer? Or maybe sooner?
So.
Maybe sooner.
I think he'll stay.
I think so? The only job he'd leave for is the German national team, and they're going to give Hansi Flick at least another Euros.
Yeah.
And I don't see any other team tempted. You got Ancelotti at Real Madrid.
I think Klopp is more likely to walk than get sacked.
He won't get sacked.
He'll more likely walk out himself before he gets.
Oh yeah, there's like zero chance of Klopp getting sacked just because he delivered the Premier League.
Yeah.
But I think if you look at like when he was at Dortmund, all of their good players get poached by Bayern Munich. At Mainz, they're a low team. If Liverpool get the new owners with big money, he can then reinvent the squad. He needs to now look at what like
Liverpool is an aging. Liverpool was an aging squad when he took over. Like you won a lot of stuff with older players. Like they've come to. There's always a time where they start not.
He's got to do what Sir Alex Ferguson used to do and just freshen up the squad. Alex Ferguson used to do it every sort of 4 or 5 seasons. He'd make 4 or 5 signings that would freshen the squad up, change the backroom staff a little bit, and I think it's gone a bit stale.
Yeah,
it doesn't seem to be that kind of impetus to change it. Fabinho's still a mainstay, and he's a pretty average player when you look at it. He's not good enough.
You look at that Liverpool midfield. They've only bought one starting midfielder in 4 years, and Thiago.
Mm-hmm.
They've let go, like you said, Wijnaldum. They've not replaced.
Carvalho's been kind of forgotten since the World Cup. To be honest,
what's happened?
I think he's been injured.
Is it?
He played the other night.
He played
in the FA Cup
against Wolves.
But I think he's been injured. Harvey Elliott's been injured, and he's just come back.
Then also they kind of had to rotate with the Chelsea game coming at the weekend.
Curtis Jones has just come back as well. He's been injured.
Jono and the owner of the Football Nation podcast has put Stevie G will make it happen, but
Stevie G can't even get the Poland job. He's not getting the Liverpool job.
Well, apparently, it's maybe signed, sealed, and delivered that he's going to be the new Poland manager.
He got turned down, didn't he? A couple of days
ago?
Yeah, sure I saw the report.
That's outstanding. That is outstanding.
Matty Cash couldn't get in the job.
My last point on this Brighton game is shout out to Welbeck for doing the Rashford celebration in front of Liverpool.
I was a great goal. I was a great goal by Welbeck.
Just win the season.
But if Danny Welbeck's doing that to you, something is wrong.
Yeah.
It's time just to concede the rest of the games and we'll just go on holiday. Surprised he didn't injure himself celebrating.
Well, that is true. So we talk about from one bad performance, we go to another. And
sorry, Kai, we're going to have to talk about.
Sorry, Kai. Everton 1, Southampton 2, or should I say, Everton 1, James Ward-Prowse 2. Kai, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'll get some stuff off my chest.
How long have we got? What time do you start work tomorrow, Chris? It's going to be a while.
Oh, no head. So the first half was a really, really competitive game. And then Onana, amazing throughout. I cannot fault him. And also his celebration when he runs off to the camera and goes like this and says, "I'm him." That spelt our inevitable doom. We just capitulated through our own individual errors, to be honest. Godfrey for the first goal. I don't know what he's doing there, diving in and then just getting sold and then leaving James Ward-Prowse, the last player you want in the box with a shooting opportunity to get a shot away. That sealed an inevitable goal. And then the second goal is just another stupid error by Anthony Gordon, almost being too keen to win the ball back and eventually giving a stupid foul away. What I will say is the ball was just outside the box. James Ward-Prowse moved it back 5 yards. Nobody's spoken about that. It's a football injustice. And then he obviously placed it home.
Okay, have you got the rosary beads and the prayer mat out there? So, I mean, that's what like you just said. You look at the person you don't want at especially edge of a box or inside the box with that right foot of James Ward-Prowse, especially a free kick. It's going to end up in the back of the net or on target. I mean, Anthony Gordon, I think his proposed move to Chelsea has hampered him spectacularly this season. I mean, was it £60 million they were talking about? Then it never materialised. He got injured. He's been in and out of the team.
We were saying before we came in there, weren't we? If you play for a team like Everton or Southampton or someone like that, and a team comes in for you like Chelsea, Liverpool, United, it turns your head.
100%.
It's hard to get back on track. But
I gotta give credit to Nathan Jones for starting to get results. That's what you need in a relegation battle. It just doesn't matter how pretty the football is. You just gotta get results at this point.
Mm-hmm. He's not got a bad team at Southampton though. When you look at their team, they're not shouldn't be relegation candidates. There are worse teams on paper in the league.
Yeah,
I just think they've underperformed so badly. I mean, Ward-Prowse could carry that team to 15th.
Yeah.
Especially playing in the 10.
Yeah,
something I've never considered, but he's doing it and it's working.
I mean, this is what we kind of said this before in our podcast. Do you think if Southampton do stay up or get relegated, do you think James Ward-Prowse will leave Southampton? I
think didn't they give him exactly what he wanted to stay on his last contract, and they gave him like a ridiculous. They broke their salary cap for it. Yeah, they rewrote their salary caps for it. They gave him a stupid deal.
I mean, one of those players that you would imagine would stay at Southampton and eventually just get like a statue for himself.
Yeah,
the James Ward-Prowse statue.
Exactly.
Hopefully he doesn't turn into Matt Letizia 20 years down the line and become a bit of a nutter. But I think nobody can do anything about that.
I mean, he's 28 now as well, so he's in his prime.
Yeah,
you think if he goes,
the statue has to be doing
80 million probably. Southampton want massive money because I'm sure he's on a 4 or 5 year contract.
The statue has to be doing a free kick though. We're making a statue for
him. So we're going to go to two teams that's a bit in different form. I would say Forest to Leicester 0. What has happened to Forest, by the way?
Derby for them.
They've stopped signing players.
No, they actually sent a Brazilian guy the other day there.
They're going to start losing again then.
and they've signed Chris Wood.
They just signed Chris Wood as well.
This is like Football Manager or FIFA. When you lose 5 games, you think, right, I need a whole new team. They're all transfer listed. Let's get. Yeah. Oh my God. Fair play though. Steve Cooper's doing. It's nice to see Steve Cooper backed because it would have been so easy to sack him. And instead of doing that, they gave him a 5-year deal and went
5-year deal.
Go and sort it out.
Yeah.
Fair play.
He's shown
the
it.
Cup for him.
Yeah,
exactly. He's shown he can manage in the Premier League. I do believe some of the signings weren't his, and I think now he's found his best 11. That he's going to get the best. I'm not sure signing. Didn't they sign Chris Wood? I think I saw earlier.
That's
not going to do much for you. Chris Wood isn't going to do much, but
no, in that system,
unless you're playing set piece football, you're just going to ping random shots into the box.
But Leicester are shocking. They're having such a bad season. I'm amazed Brendan Rodgers not been sacked.
They can't afford him. They can't afford to sack him. That's the thing.
And to be honest, he was on the cusp of like people talking about him being sacked, but then he did start picking up results then before the World Cup break. He was actually Leicester was one of the most informed teams at the time the break happened.
They've also been one of the teams that's been impacted most by the World Cup as well. They look completely shook.
And I think they've relied on Vardy for so long as well, haven't they? And he's got old, and he's got old quickly.
Yeah,
And Maddison,
when you rely on that,
Maddison coming back from the World Cup worse than
when
he left is.
They do miss him hugely.
100%. No creativity in that midfield without him.
No, I don't think Danny Ward's a Premier League goalkeeper either.
No, and when you have your centre back scoring 2 goals for Liverpool,
come back to Wrexham.
I love Danny Ward, but he's not a Premier League goalkeeper, is he? And I think he's got so many errors in him that it's just going to cost you.
Even the defensive errors, like I said, their centre back scoring 2 worldly goals for Liverpool.
Daniel Amati
he was brilliant. To be fair, the chip over the keeper in that game was absolutely awesome.
I was outstanding.
You
literally could not place it any better over the keeper. It was like the keeper was watching it in slow motion. It's like, oh no!
It was one of them because I watched Ward's reaction. You're like, there's nothing I can do about this. It's going in. I know it's going in.
I'm just going to watch it.
Jesus. And I'm going to get the blame for this as well because I should have saved it, apparently.
Some breaking transfer news. Brighton rejected a £55 million bid from Chelsea, surprisingly, for Moses Caicedo.
What did Arsenal bid for?
Brighton don't sell for cheap. They never sell players for cheap.
I think Arsenal.
They must have made easily 2 million in 200 million in transfer fees this year,
especially just off of Chelsea.
They don't sell players for cheap, so they're probably looking for at least over 60 million bid for.
Yeah.
If he goes, that'll be 200 million. If they get 60, 70 million for him in this season, and they've only spent 50.
That's a hell of a business model. If they just stay for that another 6 months, and then go just to see what he could achieve at Brighton.
I agree with you, Kai. I mean, we'll get onto Chelsea. We'll get onto Chelsea in a bit. We've got quite a lot through these last 4 fixtures. So Wolves win, West Ham 0.
Fair play to Lokobategi to start turning Wolves around a bit.
They played really well in both the Liverpool FA Cup games. They should have beat Liverpool in the first round, but they were really good the other night as well.
I mean, another VAR debacle with Liverpool again. How is that offsides?
I've been quite impressed with the Irishman Nathan Gold.
Yeah,
I enjoyed the BBC coverage with the power cut and everything else. But Wolves, they're impressive. I'm surprised they are a team that's been able to keep Ruben Neves as well. I thought he would have gone to United.
I think that's what I was going to say. I think he could be one for the United.
Yeah,
maybe in the summer, depending on what happens with Wolves this season. If they finish maybe bottom half, like kind of below,
and depends on like the owners and their money situation and the
I think Ruben Neves will be one of the main players.
He's only mid-20s though, isn't he? I think United if they're going to sign a creative player,
just
go in big for him.
Yeah, Neves is 25.
Yeah, you go in big for him because you're going to get eight years out of him.
Yeah, he's not even his peak of his powers yet. as well.
And now I'll go to West Ham are so terrible.
Sorry,
right
DJ
now.
Ross, if you're watching. Sorry, but yeah, West Ham are absolute dross.
And I love it because I like seeing Declan Rice in pain.
No.
That's the Irish.
David Moyes did an interview with Stephen Bartlett, the Dragon's Den guy, and said he's not scared of getting sacked. And he's doing
although there is reports that the game against Everton is the El Sacico.
El Sacico, yep.
And there's also reports that if Everton win, Moyes is going to get sacked. But he's not going to take over Everton then. So it really depends how Moyes wants to play this one.
It's worse for Lampard if he wins, apparently, isn't it? Because there's a ready-made replacement.
I don't understand why they love Moyes so much.
It's a transfer merry-go-round that everyone.
I think with Moyes, there's fondness because he's probably the last manager that probably made Everton successful in that they were constantly pushing for European places, and he got you to Champions League qualifiers, even though you got knocked out in the very first round. That's irrelevant. But nobody's done that since, despite spending the money. And if you give Moyes the money, he can take you a bit further. The problem is now Everton don't spend the money that Moyes would need to get you there. He's actually got more money at West Ham and he's doing this.
And he's got better players as well.
Yeah.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
Better players.
So, next one, we've got another surprise package this season. Brentford 2-0 against Bournemouth. Brentford look good, don't they? They play some nice football. Play some really nice football. Thomas Frank.
They've beaten a lot of big teams.
I mean, I think they've got one of the best records against the so-called top six this season. I mean, Brentford, they play some nice, attractive football, structured at the back. Play some nice attacking football as well when they're on song. They're very good.
They don't rely on Tony either, which is good.
Yeah, because depending on what happens with him with this.
Yeah, this game. He came back to this game after being missing in the last one.
Yeah,
exactly. They don't rely on him. So I think when they came up, there was a bit of a fear there, wasn't there, that he'd bag 20 goals and then get a move. But because he's, not really shone it, and now he's going to get banned anyway.
Yeah,
was it like 600 betting allegations?
Yeah,
or something ridiculous.
Probably got a 1-month ban at least.
But United owe them big as well for getting Eriksen back to fitness for him. So
I mean, what do you think about Bournemouth then, guys?
They're an interesting team. They had that decent run at a few games ago where they looked like they had something with them, and then they've just fallen off again since coming back from the break.
The problem with Bournemouth is they don't have the money to invest. Their stadium only holds about 17,000 people. So they don't get the crowds to invest to like Fulham do. So they're never really going to be able to step up, because when they get relegated, the owners won't spend the parachute payments on to get players that will make them competitive.
The new ownership as well that they have.
Players.
Yes.
Any team that's got Solanke of leading the line for them is going to struggle.
And they also have some games they have more leading the line for them instead.
Kiefer Moore, yeah.
They're
a team of championship players.
And then without Marcus Tavernier, they just pass to him and then he does something usually. But when he's not there,
the only player that isn't the championship player is Neto, the keeper.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're about 10 players.
He can only do so much when he's got 30 shots going on his goal every game. Law of probability says he's going to concede at least 5. So it's just I
mean, what are you saying, Kai?
So they're probably, if I was being conservative, about 10 players from staying up. If they sign 10 players, they'd stay up. That's the only way they stay up. 17 at the minute.
They're not in the relegation zone.
Yeah, I was going to get onto that, but they're slipping down the table.
I didn't even know that.
The goal difference.
They're 1 point.
Their goal difference is getting so dangerously high, they're going to start to invent new numbers to calculate how bad they are.
Get the abacus out, guys.
They're in danger of jumping into that relegation. With Southampton starting picking up results there.
Yeah.
You'd think the teams below them will turn it around at some point to get 3 or 4 games on the bounce so they can win. But
maybe not Everton, sorry, Kai, but maybe
Well,
not.
it depends.
We'll
It depends on the game this week. It depends on the game this weekend between the two.
Our last Premier League game of the week is Chelsea 1, Crystal Palace 0.
Chris, tell us about this game, Chris.
Go from Kai Havertz. Much needed to go for Kai Havertz, I would say. But still lacking a wee bit. Badashile had a great game from what I've seen as well. He's a good player. Badashile is a quick, good on the ball. I'll be interested
to see.
You think
your 67 wingers will help turn the season
around? Yes. No. I don't. I mean, see, the thing is, I mean, I was looking at this. I was looking at the squad. We're gonna go in a wee bit more in depth into it a bit later. I think the players that they're trying to bring in are young players. That's the only thing. But we've still got players like Callum Hudson-Odoi out on loan, and we've got the boy Datro Fofana, who I believe he's off to Turkey for the rest of the season, going to Galatasaray on loan till the summer, which would be good for him. But we're still lacking that defensive midfielder. With Conte being injured and Jorginho not being the Jorginho that we've known for the last 3 or 4 seasons.
Zakaria injuring himself as well.
And again, Zakaria injured himself as well. So we're missing a holding midfielder, and we can have just said as regarding about Caicedo. Caicedo would fit that bill. But I think Chelsea need to start looking at selling players, which I believe they are doing just now. Because I've just seen as well that Newcastle are in talks with Chelsea to sign Ruben Loftus-Cheek on loan with an option to buy, which
the big
would
one
be
needs to
interesting.
sell Aubameyang.
Oh yeah, I'll get on to him as well. Boom. Don't worry, I'll get on to him as well. But yeah, Chelsea, it was a much needed 3 points for Graham Potter after the kind of week they've had before, but still much work to do. What about you guys?
It's the same problems again. For a good win, and the way, in particular, Mason Mount, the way he celebrated when the goal went in, there was a lot of relief there, and you could see the tension.
Same as Jorginho as well.
But like they created 0.76 xG from open play, and that's just highlighting the same old story again, that they don't create from moves to create. Yeah, it's just the set pieces that create a chance, but everyone's got equal chances of scoring the set pieces in that game. Yeah. And then Palace did cut through them quite a few times with some nice swift moves through the centre as well, which is massively worrying because you need that just highlights Chelsea's lack of legs in the centre. Jorginho as well. He's good on the ball, but when people are coming at him, he's back towards his own goal. He's going to pass him. But then again, Badiashile was superb. Like, there's being so underrated in that position because it gives him a completely different set of angles to everyone else to work with when he gets the ball. And then that just allowed Lewis Hall to get so much higher than he would usually. It's not as awkward and it's more fluid. And he can engineer the ball into different areas.
Yeah, I've been impressed with the boy. I've been impressed with that boy, Lewis Hall. He's came from the reserves, the B team, if you will, to being a Premier League starter now. I would say it's ahead of Cucurella, who we paid £50 million for. It just shows you the level of his confidence at this moment in time. A young kid through the Chelsea Academy is getting more game time than a £50 million left back or whatever he is. I don't even know what he is. An absolute nuisance with stupid hair.
I mean, did you see his training exercise that he was at the weight?
Yeah, seen it. I'm like, yeah, he's something else. What about you, Paul? What do you think about the game?
I mean, Chelsea worrying. Kai kind of touched on it. There's so much to worry about with Chelsea in that you've got no, like you said, your key mainstay of your midfield is Jorginho without Kante.
Yep.
Kante's, I think he's still injured.
He's back
Chelsea
in this week.
So he's probably 3 weeks maybe away from first team, 90 minutes, probably something like that.
Yeah.
Until he's back, if I was setting up against Chelsea, I'd be telling them all to go down the middle.
Yep.
Run at Jorginho and get him to turn because he turns like a tugboat. It takes him 3 days. It's ridiculously slow. And yes, he can pass the ball, but honestly, I'd be really worried if I was Chelsea. And I look back, I was thinking about it earlier. I look back at the players like Chelsea used to have or used to sign. And it used to be, you know, the likes of Drogba, you went and got Shevchenko and all these big name players. Yes, Shevchenko didn't work out. And he was, well, that's another thing. But you could attract those players. Now I kind of think you're spending 50 million on a player from Brighton who's unproven, really. You're spending 45 million on Raheem Sterling, who's never really set the world alight.
Nah.
Chelsea have just kind of, their transfer deals don't make sense to me.
Spurs have just taken the lead from our chat from Jono, keeping us updated.
Kulusevski 1-0 against Man City.
The Man City's bogey team in a way, Spurs.
Yeah. So we'll come back to Chelsea in a few minutes, shall we say. So we're going to give the boys, we thought we'd welcome the boys with our team with the team of the weekend, Wrexham. So we had the Bromley game before the FA Cup, FA Trophy, wasn't it? So Wrexham 2-1 against Bromley. Are you going to win the league this season, guys?
Yeah, I think so. I don't. You know what? I think Notts County are in a little bit of a sticky patch where their form hasn't been great, and we just seem to be able to churn the wins out. The game against Bromley was so weird because I went to Coventry and everybody was buzzing. And you think, great, you know, the atmosphere was amazing. And then we come to Bromley and it was dead.
Yeah.
There was 10,000 people in the stadium. And it just didn't feel, it felt like there were 1,000 people there. There was no atmosphere. There was no singing. And the players you could see didn't have, they needed the fans behind them.
You're in a good position because you do have quite a few games in hand and only 3 points.
Yeah, I think we've got, out of 8 games in February, 6 of them are at home.
And not dropped a single point at home.
Yeah, well, 16 out of 16, isn't it? I think Sheffield United will probably be the first game we lose at home this year.
But you never know. I mean, Sheffield United are a decent team, but I think anyone in the racecourse ground, do you think they'll do well?
I think at that point, I don't know about you, Kai, I think because the league is so important. I think he might just make changes like he did at Coventry. So Ollie Palmer didn't start at Coventry, and you know, I think he'll do the same. And it kind of shows that our full attention is on the league and not the FA Cup. Yeah,
it has to be on the league, doesn't it? Like we spent the longest period in the National League out of anyone.
16 years. We lose £1 million a year as well on wages.
It is now 2-0.
While we're in the non-league.
The Spurs, wow.
Emerson Royale,
the person that Spurs don't want there.
City is starting to develop a habit for capitulating after going 1 goal down.
I told you, you've triple capped Haaland. He ain't scoring tonight.
Sorry guys for cutting this off. So on you go. So you're talking about the league, Deeth.
Yeah, I mean, the problem we have in this league is that we lose so much money through wages because we play League One wages. Like the likes of Mullin, Ollie Palmer, Elliot Lee, they're all League One players. Paul Mullin could probably do it in the Championship.
Yeah,
he's that good. But we have to pay those rates. So in the non-league, because we don't have the television rights and we don't have, we now have the streaming, but the way the league have done it is so stupid. Because originally what Wrexham proposed was that the bulk of the streaming would be given back to the league and divvied out between the other clubs. And the league said no. The clubs get what they make. So, yeah, stupid. So what Wrexham have done is the money they make, I think, goes to charity. Because we don't need that money from streaming.
Yeah.
But if we go into the Football League, you got the iFollow. So you get money from the EFL for it.
Yeah.
We need that kind of money coming into the club because we just lose so much. And I think as well, the standard of football in the National League is awful. I don't know if did you go to the Bromley game, Kai?
No, but I saw it back and then we saw how shocking the first half was.
They were horrible. Such a horrible team. Their manager openly bragged before the game that they're going to play negative football and just try and break the game up at every opportunity. And it was so nice to go to Coventry and see proper football.
Yeah, coming to Wrexham is the cup final, isn't it? That's the chant is every week. You've had your day out, now go home.
Yeah.
So that shows how big time
That's
Wrexham
put it really nicely as well, that chant.
Yeah. Danced my way around that one.
I think there's rumours we're getting Andy Cook as well, who we've been linked with for every transfer window since the dawn of time. But
Did he not play for Coventry for a while? Was it Andy Cook? Am I thinking of someone else?
I think he might have. He's played for a few teams, but yeah. He's sort of
at Bradford.
He's at Bradford's top scorer. Apparently, we've got a deal done for him, but we've been linked with him every transfer window for ages.
Be a nice third choice striker.
But I think the FA Trophy game, showed that we've got real good squad depth. To get a 2-2 draw playing youth players, against the first team, just showed that we've got the squad depth that if we need to rotate or bring somebody in like Jake Bickerstaff up front, if we got an injury, we'd be all right. So we do need to get promoted though.
Whilst there, that Max Clayworth, I saw he was at my local club, Carnarvon Town, 3 seasons ago. He was good, but now he's getting to the level where he's League 2, League 1 goalie. You can see him staying with the club through the rise. And genuinely think he'll play for Wales, or he'll get on the cusp of the squad eventually, because he can't be ignored. He's so young. He'll get there eventually, I think. John Davis as well. I wouldn't mind seeing him in a training camp sometime. Maybe even Paul Mullen as well. His nan's Welsh.
My biggest problem with this league is players like Ollie Palmer get no protection.
Yeah,
because he's so.
The refs are part time, aren't they?
The refs are part time. So I sat behind the game for Bromley, and at one point Paul Mullen was running through on goal, and the good defender just ran across him and off the ball.
It's just so easy to do.
Mullen goes down holding it, and the referee plays on. And I was probably 15 yards away from it, and I could see it.
It feels like a handicap if you try to play.
Yeah,
I think
there's an element as well because the players are so good. The refs let them take a little bit more. It does seem to be a case that happens. I mean, in the Bromley game, there was probably a sending off 3 minutes in that wasn't given. We're quite lucky that he gave the penalty after he kicked Tunnicliffe in the head. As much their manager said it wasn't a penalty, but I saw the picture back and he kicked him in the head. So, I don't know how he didn't give it. But I'd like to get promoted and then go and sign Macaulay Langstaff from Notts County. That'd do me. I'd be all right with that.
Yeah, the rabbit in their bones.
So,
exactly.
So what do you think? Do you think promotion or bust this season for Wrexham then? Yeah.
Not bust. Don't say that.
No, you know what I mean. Like, it's all promotion.
That's what promotion. That's what
I think promotion or Parky gets sacked.
Yeah.
Promotion or Parky gets sacked.
Yeah.
And what we mean by bust is like that your aim for a successful season is promotion.
Yeah.
I know what you meant. I remember going like carrying buckets and stuff. I'm older than Kai. So I remember doing all that stuff. It's horrible. But yeah, I think Kai probably agree that promotion or Parky gets sacked. If we don't get promoted, I think you might see Ollie Palmer want to maybe move because his family are down south. So
yeah. As well, do you think if you don't get promoted, do you think you can keep hold of Mullen as well?
Well, he moved for his family because his family live on the Wirral.
Yeah. Do they?
Which is like 30 minutes away. He lives on the Wirral and drives into Wrexham every day.
Yeah.
So he moved for family. So
one of a few players that has been on Tranmere, Liverpool, and Everton's books.
Yeah,
that's true. Because he was on the Steven Gerrard's kind of academy, wasn't he, as well for a while? Paul Mullen. I remember seeing about that. Right. So as we've finished our roundup with the scores this week, we come to our main topic. Let me just gather my thoughts for a second. So the main topic today: what
angry Chris.
So what is going on at Stamford Bridge, basically? So what has happened to Chelsea Football Club in the last 18 months?
Before you do that, have you got the Benny Hill music to play over it while you talk about it?
Well, I'm talking about the transfers.
Yeah, basically. Why are you talking about the transfers? No, just play the Benny Hill music. It'll add so much to it.
We might need to add like a Chris Angry meter that just goes up.
Yes, that'll come for next week. But yes, so what is going on at Stamford Bridge in the last 18 months? How can they go from Champions League winners, World Cup winners, to sitting in 10th place in the space of a short period of time? So I've got some 5 bullet points. The transition from Roman Abramovich to Todd Boehly. Paul, what do you think? I'm going to go with you first because I'm going to compose myself for a bit. Going to be try to be as level headed as I possibly can.
I was expecting you to go on like a massive rant and us just jump in when we needed to.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep it to the pod. So I'm not gonna. This is not from me. This is not Chris's intervention.
This is
for the
Chris's
pod.
soapbox.
Chris, we care about you a lot.
This is your therapy, mate. This is just an intervention for you.
Yeah. So, right, what do you think has happened since the Abramovich to Todd Boehly transition? Do you think Boehly's came in and said, right, I'm Billy Big Balls here. I'm doing what I want to do.
Yeah.
The
100%,
the American way.
But Boehly, it strikes me as a man who's never had a problem that money can't fix.
Yeah.
I think if he goes into a restaurant and they're full, he'll give them $1,000 to get a table.
Or just buy the
Just
restaurant.
there and then, kick somebody out is $1,000. I do think that when you had the transfer embargo because of Roman's ties to a certain bald-headed man from Eastern Europe, I think that has hampered you more than people realise because you were left behind in the transfer market.
Yeah.
But your transfers have been so bad and so overpriced and so stupidly long in the contracts you've offered that
we'll come
eight
to that.
8.5 year contracts for somebody who played 49 league games.
So
that reminds me of when Alan Pardew got his lifetime deal at Newcastle.
Yes. So the reason why they're doing that is to beat the financial fair play rules. So if you say, for instance, obviously Mudryk was £80 million, right? They can split that £10 million per season.
You're paying it over 8 years.
You're paying it over 8 years.
Extra.
So plus a wee bit extra. So that's why they're doing the 8 year, 7 year, 6 year, whatever it is.
It used to be the FIFA rule as well. You can only give 5-year contracts.
Exactly.
So I don't know where that's come from.
But this is how you get away with like the new FFP that's coming in. That you have to only pay a certain amount. They've kind of
thummied that. They've kind of found a wee bit of a loophole. But I've actually got the
risk with 8-year contracts, depending on the player, will actually turn out a success or not.
It's not even just that, though, is it? Because you doubled what Arsenal offered him in wages, didn't you, for that specific player? So if Arsenal had offered him 125 grand, you went in at 250.
But he's on. Both him and Barashile are on 95 grand a week. Both him and Barashile are on 95 grand a week.
So Arsenal offered him very little money then, didn't they?
Yes. So both Barashile and because that's what thing. So the director of football, Daryl Sherner, came out and said Arsenal and Chelsea offered the exact same deal, but Chelsea structured it a lot better. Plus,
the add-ons were more achievable.
The add-ons were more achievable. So that's why Mudryk kind of chose Chelsea over Arsenal. I mean, I've seen Mudryk up close and personal with when they played against Celtic and against Scotland. The boy is a talent, but here's the but, he scored 12 goals in his career so far. And they've all came either in the Champions League or the Ukrainian league when it restarted. Yeah. So there's not much to go on as of yet, but the kid has got talent. Everybody was looking at him, but as Bill said, 8 years is as we've all said, 8 years is a long time to tie down a player. If he gets injured, say for instance, he plays against Liverpool on Saturday, gets a double leg break, that's him for nearly a year. Nobody knows. But I'm looking at the arrivals. So this is the Euros. So Chelsea have spent €425.49 million at this moment in time. This is before the Madueke, whatever his name is, from PSV, gets added on eventually, which is I think around 29 million pounds.
Kind of like an extra 30.
Yeah, I'm like
€30 million.
I'm like, where are we going to play these midfielders? Are we just going to have a front 10 of...
That's what I'm saying. You're going to play a circle formation here. Where everyone's just going to be a...
Do you know what I would say about your signings, though? A lot of them are 28 and under. In fact, most of them are under 20, 23.
20, between under the age of 25, I would say the majority of them are, apart from a few.
The question is are these Potters signings because if they're part of the signing and he gets sacked, the new manager might not fancy him.
Yep.
Or some of them will.
And
be
the only
too
reason
short
Mudryk
signings.
was so expensive was because of United paying that amount of money for Anthony. Because they value Mudryk at least the same price tag as Anthony was.
Haven't you guaranteed 70 million on João Felix as well?
No, there's no
buyout money.
There's
At
no
the end
buyout.
of 6 months, at the end of 6 months, he's going back to Atletico.
Unless Chelsea want to buy him.
Then discussions will have to talk.
You've lost a month of football watching him, haven't you?
Yes. As he's an idiot.
Just to play devil's advocate.
You're busting to get in there.
Pressure rising then.
Just to play devil's advocate, they're signing all these young players, giving them long contracts. So this year in financial fair play in 2023, they're allowed to spend 90% of your revenue. Next year in 2024, it's 80%, and then the year after, it's 70%. By 2025, all these Chelsea young players are going to be in their prime, and they're going to still have 4 years left on their contracts, which means they're good saleable assets. You can make more money on them because of inflation. By that point, you double your money if you choose to sell them, and that could be Chelsea's means of trying to keep up with the teams backed by states such like Newcastle, Man City, maybe others by that time, and that could be like a leveler because Chelsea, unlike Manchester City and Newcastle United, won't be able to make new revenue by sponsoring themselves.
It depends if these players can prove their worth, that they're actually worth.
Yeah, a
profit.
The thing is, Chelsea don't have a great track record of selling players apart from Hazard. Really, over the last couple of years, they've not sold players for massive profit. Werner left for 20 million, Emerson 15, Billy Gilmore left for 8, and at one point they were touting him at like 30 million.
Yeah,
they've sold their young players for a lot though. That's how they've been funding the big transfers with the young players.
It comes down to, with these 8-year contracts that they're given, it comes down to they're playing roulette with these signings, hoping it lands on black that they can cash in, or they turn out to be a world star.
I mean, as well, like we kind of talk about the transfers, like we said, there is a lot of young prospects coming through. I mean, the one I'm more excited about is Barashile, because he's an absolute unit. He's an absolute man mountain, Barashile.
Yeah, I was impressed with him when I saw him last time.
I'm also impressed with the boy. What's his face? I said Mudryk. No.
Did you see the stat that you have spent in the last 6 months, practically the same as Liverpool have spent in the last 10 years?
Yeah, 6 years. Yeah.
I
mean, I'm looking at. Oh, that's who it was. Chukwuemeka, the boy from Aston Villa. He was quite good.
He's a good
player coming through. But I'm just kind of looking at the transfers. So I'm going to round them off just now. So we spent 75 million pounds on Wesley Fofana, been injured. Good. He's 21 years of age, so still got plenty of time, and he's back in training. Obviously, we've kind of talked about Callum Mudryk, 65 million plus add-ons. My favourite player, Mark Cucurella, 50 million. Yep. That's David Luiz. Come on. That was David Luiz.
Yeah, he's gone now. He's gone now.
But still, that's Sideshow Bob.
This is like the Wish version of Sideshow Bob.
Yeah, I'll give you that one. Raheem Sterling, £45 million. Benoit Barashile, £35 million. Koulibaly, £30 million. Chukwuemeka, £18 million. Andre Santos, the young boy, came from Brazil, 12.5. Fofana, £12 million from Molde. Some has been Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang, 12 million from Barcelona. João Felix on loan for 11 million. Gabriel Salina, 9 million from Chicago Fire, good young goalkeeper. And Dennis Zakaria coming in, obviously.
Good 3 million loan fee.
3 million, yeah.
Good signing, to be fair.
Zakaria, yes. But that's another thing. Zakaria hasn't.
It was a gamble when you bought him for Zakaria, because no one knew the state he was in, and he was not in the team for a while. But then he started becoming your mainstay in your midfield, and then sadly got himself injured.
Like I said, he is a good player. I mean, he offers what Conte was doing, but he's not. I don't think he's comfortable enough on the ball like Akanji, who can drive.
And he
the
got what I
football.
said. What happened to him is what I predicted. I said his injury record has not been the greatest at Juventus.
I mean, out of those ones, there's not many you can say have worked. Well, apart from the ones that maybe just signed, like let's say Mudryk, Barichile, and
It's a lot of money, isn't it, to say it hasn't worked? You know.
Yeah.
And the fact that next year you're going to get Lukaku back.
Maybe
He's only on loan.
Maybe.
You know,
he wants to stay at Inter. That's the.
Because the rumor was
money for Lukaku though.
There was rumor. The rumor was that Chelsea get a swap deal for 2 players from Inter Milan, and Chelsea will look at Brozovic and Martinez in place of Lukaku, plus a wee bit of money as well, because Inter can't afford to sign Lukaku on what Chelsea value him at £90 million. They want the money they pay for.
I wonder if Inter will. I mean, they're sat 4th at the moment in Serie A. Really, realistically, are they even going to want him?
Inter fans have started to turn on Romelu in the past.
Yeah, he's not in the top 5 goal scorers in that league.
And they just won the Supercoppa Italia against AC Milan, during which Dzeko and Martinez scored.
Yep.
So,
yeah,
who needs him?
I mean, there's obviously talk about Dzeko going to Newcastle in the summer as well.
Yeah.
But as well, John just said as well, there was rumours as well that Inter want to cut his contract and send him back to Chelsea now.
But that rumor was denied by both clubs.
Yeah, but
rumours. But there is a lot of hostility that they don't
only
want
played
him.
6 games for Inter Milan.
Yeah, he got himself injured for a small bit as well.
The problem, I think, Lukaku's always had a problem with fitness
and attitude.
He balloons an attitude. I think that's part and parcel. Is that he balloons up in weight a little bit. He was heavy at United. Went to when he went to Italy and got fit. Came to Chelsea, was heavy again. I don't know if it's just the English food.
But there's rumors that he gets heavy just before an international tournament.
Yeah, look at him in the World Cup. Look at him in the World Cup. He looked about. Maybe
that's what he did at United. He bulked up to help Belgium, which made us suffer that season.
He's pulling the caravan when he puts on that.
He should be your Drogba. Yeah. He should be your Drogba now.
Do you know what, the thing is, a lot of strikers at Chelsea, if we look over the years, apart from Drogba and like maybe Costa at the time, they've not really been as successful.
The only other one you can probably say is Mutu. Mutu was successful until he got banned for life.
You had Mattia Esmond as well, and Crespo. Yeah. And Crespo when he's at Chelsea. I mean,
you have a habit, to be fair, at Chelsea. My mates at Chelsea, I say this to him all the time. You've got a habit of signing attackers and absolutely ruining them.
Yes.
Like Timo Werner, Liverpool linked with him for years. Came to Chelsea and he was garbage.
But this is me and my manager were talking about this today. Actually, like so, talking about Chelsea. Look at the players that came from Germany. No matter where in football, like either Spain, England, France, Italy, the German players like Werner, Havertz, especially with Chelsea, they were scoring 22, 23 goals in the Bundesliga. Coming to the English league, it's a lot quicker, it's a lot more physical than the Bundesliga. I think they don't realise how quick it actually is until they experience it, and they don't work out well. And Chelsea have got another one coming from Leipzig in Kunku in the summer. 45 million pound from Leipzig. So there's another winger.
You know why PSG sold him.
I don't know why you just don't bite the bullet and play Batshuayi up front. You're not going to get a striker who scores anyway, so you might as well have one who's on relatively low wise.
Batshuayi's been sold permanently.
He's on loan, isn't he?
I'm sure he's gone. I'm sure he's released. I'm
sure
on
loan on transfer thingy. Transfer market.
I'm sure he's.
Let's have a look.
I'm sure he's gone permanently. Let's check the Chelsea actual website.
Is he Besiktas?
Quick change. Have you seen the top goal scorers in the?
I was going to say this. It's just literally a list of banter plays.
Yeah.
He went to Fenerbahce for permanently, Chris. Bit wise got the Fenerbahce on a permanent.
Yeah.
Deal.
It's got him leaving on loan on transfer market, isn't it?
I have no idea.
I mean, dodgy information from dodgy websites.
Yep.
Never use them. But he
yeah.
should have been your striker, shouldn't he? Really, he was signed to be that man, and he got shipped
But
out on loan forever.
Came from Marseille, had a decent spell came from Marseille, decent goal scoring record in France, comes to England. Okay, yeah, he won Chelsea the title, beating West Brom 1-0. Yeah, that's his legacy. He won the Chelsea the title. Then never seen him again.
He did all right at Valencia as well when he went up.
Yeah.
When he was there.
I mean, I'm looking at I can be blue in the face with the Chelsea signings this season.
Tammy Abraham was supposed to be like your striker as well at one point.
Tammy Abraham, we should have never let Tammy Abraham go, in my opinion. Never let him go.
He was doing just as much that season as Timo was. He was doing slightly better than Timo in
goal.
games.
Goal. 2-1.
Sadly, it's not your triple captain.
Pain. Distance is pain.
Kai's anger level's slightly gone up as well.
Rumours that Haaland's been substituted.
Uh-oh.
He hasn't, I don't think.
He's not. He's not. But you almost got a panic there, Paul.
I've got it open there. There's no fooling me.
Right. So the next kind of topic on Chelsea is the sacking of Thomas Tuchel and appointment of Graham Potter. I'll go to you, Kai, before I explode on this one. I'm not happy with this one. So, Kai, what do you think about the sacking of Thomas Tuchel and the appointment of Graham Potter?
I think when Tuchel got sacked, there was a bit of dullness, maybe about the way they were playing, and then maybe some uninspiring stuff going on. But then when you see Potter take over, and it's probably worse, you have to start to think maybe Tuchel wasn't that bad. And the fact that Tuchel won them the Champions League its first season, it shows how good Tuchel was. And then this sacking him, paying for him to leave, is a bit of a disgrace, really, because Potter is good, but what's he actually done so far? I know we need to give English managers a chance to manage the big clubs, but it's just going to take so long to get Chelsea to winning ways the way he's doing it. And with how poor it's been, it feels like a soft football. And Haaland has just scored. We're back in the game.
Triple captain.
Well, we're feasting now.
Still time for him to get sent off. Don't worry.
Sorry, Kai. Continue.
It's just time to cash out. Yeah, just with Potter, I really like Potter. He's an excellent coach, and I followed him a lot when he was at Swansea. And I thought after Potter, there's never going to be a possible way of replicating that football. But then Russ Martin has just came in and made it better. So how good is Potter really? Because every manager who's replaced him is doing better. Like Russ Martin's doing better with Swansea. And De Zerbi's doing better with Brighton. So how good is he really?
What's your opinion?
I said with Potter when he took over, I felt it was a bit too early for Potter to make that jump. I feel like he should have stayed out the season with Brighton in their ascendancy that they were having, and then look to maybe jump at the end of the season. I think at that point that he jumped was a bit too early for him in his progression at Brighton. I felt Potter was hard done by because I felt he could have done something with Brighton. And Tuchel, I feel like it was very harsh on him. He won like the Champions League in his first season, did very well. Got into beat City quite a few times that season as well. And he couldn't even stay in England because Chelsea sacked him. The poor man. He had to leave because he had no work permit anymore.
And Paul, lastly to you, what do you think in regard about Thomas Tuchel?
I think the sacking was quite harsh. I mean, he'd played 6 in the Premier League and won 3 of them.
Yep.
All right, lost 2, and he lost the 1 game in the Champions League. But if you look at last season, over the course of the Premier League, he averaged just under 2 points a game. That's not a bad record. And the season before, when he came in kind of late notice, he averaged 2 a game.
Yeah.
his record at Chelsea was actually pretty good.
Yeah.
Considering what he walked into. Potter, on the other hand, I don't think he expected it to be as big of a task as it is because he's walked into a team that have actually raided Brighton, so he knew a few of the players. But he has been shown to actually be quite tactically inept. At that level,
he's going for several. He has like 5 different formations that he keeps.
Yeah, you can't do that. You've got to play 1 or 2 formations, be brilliant at both of them, not have 5 that you're average at everyone. I think he's shown himself to be so tactically inept that at that level you're going to get exposed. Champions League, even in the Premier League, though, when you play some of the teams that you would expect him to beat at Brighton, he's not doing it. So
he went on the usual manager bounce in the beginning, which made people start believing in Potter, like this decision was right. But then it's just completely fallen apart after those.
I mean,
I think there is an element as well. I wonder how much Graham Potter is just a bit of a yes man. It's a chance to manage a massive club that he probably wouldn't have gotten. So how much is he just kind of gone, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, come on, and how much does that fit in with that American philosophy of Todd, at the time, Todd Bowley wanting to run absolutely every aspect of the football club?
Yep.
Because he doesn't try to be somebody who kick up a fuss. He's a bit timid, isn't he?
Yeah. I've seen the image of Potter when he started the job to now, and he looks like he's aged about.
He looks like
57
he's
years.
Yeah.
So my 10 cents on it. So I'm going to let me just rip out the soapbox here, guys. So Thomas Tuchel, love the man to bits. I'll always thank him for winning the second Champions League trophy, winning the Cup World Cup as well. But if you think on it, he got to was it 6, 7 finals?
Yeah, because he got to the FA Cup final too, that he unfortunately lost.
Yeah, FA Cup final twice, I believe. The Carabao Cup final against Man City as well.
And Liverpool.
Was it Liverpool
you played in it here?
Yeah, both Liverpool and actually we got beaten penalties in both games.
Yeah, exactly. The game finished the exact same in both finals.
Yep, one each as well. See, Thomas Tuchel his style of football was attractive to watch. It was good. It was defensively structured, but going forward, we played some nice football. That Champions League final, he outthought the master at this moment in time when Pep Guardiola. He absolutely said, right, we're going to win this. We're going to play the most horrible type of football to stifle Manchester City. And they did. And that's how they won the Champions League. Yes, we had a bit of luck, but that's what you need in football. You need a bit of luck to win football games.
He won you the Club World
Exactly, Club World Cup. Exactly. But my thing on Thomas Tuchel, the loss against Dinamo Zagreb did not help. And Paul, you alluded to it earlier on. Chelsea were so far behind on the transfer market at that time. They'd literally just signed Aubameyang that week, and he's flung into the first game against Dinamo Zagreb. Yeah, he had literally no time to manage, and then 2 days later, he's sacked. Yeah. Thomas Tuchel was hard done by, in my opinion, and there's a lot of fans, including myself, that wanted him back. But I wanted back the current manager, Graham Potter, because I believe that he can do something. Look at Brighton. Look what he did at Brighton. He had a couple of years to build up at Brighton. Look at Jurgen Klopp. Look at what Ten Hag's been doing as well. And then the prime example is Eddie Howe at Newcastle. They stuck by him when they could have sacked him, brought in when the owners came in, back him, let him build his own team. This is what Todd Bowley needs to do: is sit down with the director of football, technical director, and Graham Potter. Say, right, this is what I want. This is what I need. This is what we don't need. Get rid of the deadwood, likes of Jorginho, likes of Kante. I'm sad to say it, but likes of Azpilicueta. Put him in a coaching role. He's been a servant for Chelsea for 10 years now. Give him a coaching role at the club. He's a good squad player, but Chelsea need to start bringing through new breeds, like Levi Colwill, who's on loan at Huddersfield. Apparently, he's getting a new 5-year deal because he's very good. Reece James has been a breath of fresh air when he's fit. Chilwell, again, breath of fresh air when he's fit. But we've got young players like Sir Chukwueze, likes of Conor Gallagher, Lewis Hall, who's burst onto the scene this season. These are the players that, and Mason Mount as well, if he gets his form together, these are the players and coaching staff who knows what Chelsea's all about. Chelsea are a soft touch at this moment.
And even Badia Shield now, 21, he's going to be there for...
Exactly. Same as Fofana as well. Same as Fofana. But you alluded to it, Paul, earlier on. The Chelsea teams of old, you hated playing against them. Drogba, Lampard, Terry, Petr Cech, Ashley Cole, Paulo Ferreira, Eden Hazard, Willian.
You'd never go into a game against Chelsea home or away thinking you were going to win.
Exactly.
But I don't know if I might feel the same. But Wrexham could be playing Chelsea next week. I back Wrexham to beat Chelsea.
Yeah, so would that.
Just because don't know what Chelsea are going to turn up.
Yeah,
Paul Mullin just terrorised and get hat trick, but that's irrelevant. But the part of Chelsea which needs to get the most reality check for me is the fans, because they've turned on Potter already.
Yeah,
and they've got to realise that he's been dealt a bad hand.
Yep,
he's got an aging squad and a squad that isn't good enough.
A lot of those players before January were not
so much success that they've got to get reality check now. The people who go to the game and back the team.
Yep,
and I think that's Chelsea's biggest problem is the fans turn so quickly.
I think it's a bit of what is it? What's it called?
You're so used to managers coming in and instantly being successful.
Yeah.
You've been spoiled. Definitely.
Spoiled,
Don't
yes,
get me wrong,
spoiled,
Chelsea, you've been spoiled massively. But I think now you've got to realise that you're in the time when Jurgen Klopp came into Liverpool, then he had Lucas Leiva and Ten Hag coming into United. You're in that where your squad isn't good enough, and you need to add 2 or 3 players to it who are going to make the difference.
Not 11 minutes.
I mean, Potter said it in his press conference for the one during the cup game that people got to realize that it's not the same management team behind them as was the previous years with Roman there, new owner, new kind of structure in the background. That it's not going to be exactly the way they remember it or how Chelsea do business.
It'll be interesting whether the American owners are more patient than the Russian. Because American owners are notoriously cutthroat.
I think if he was to get sacked, he would have sacked him by now.
Yeah, because he's very quick of getting rid of Tuchel at the first opportunity. Yeah.
I think that was because
I wonder if that was because
I think but that's what I'm saying. That's why I think like he wouldn't sack Potter till at least
it's normally in American sports. If you look at like NFL and NHL, they don't sack the manager till the end of the season.
Yeah,
and I think there's probably an element of that he give them the season, and then you have the summer to rebuild with a new man. And normally when the other NFL teams, for example, will sack their manager or their coach, that coach is already lined up. Yeah. So Diego Simeone, for example, has said he's leaving in the summer. There's nothing stopping Ted Bowley going and speaking to him and saying, if he doesn't turn it around, he's getting sacked. Would you take the job? So sack Potter on the Monday and appoint Simeone on the Tuesday.
So there has been another goal in the Manchester.
Who would have thought that Spurs have been Spurs?
It's now 3-2 to Man City. Right,
Mahrez apparently had a howler. Who would have guessed?
Oh, Spurs.
Spurs are Spurs. Spurs are Spurs. So
if anybody ever puts money on Spurs to win, they need to get like a mental health check.
It was another kind of the way Saka scored against Lloris at the near post. It was a near post. He got scored in the near post again, Lloris.
No. So Paul, you've kind of put me onto my next topic. If Potter doesn't get the time he needs, who comes in? Pochettino, Zidane, Luis Enrique, Diego Simeone, or someone completely left field?
Would you take Pochettino?
If he provides a good brand of football, I wouldn't say no to him. He's done well at Southampton. He's probably Spurs' best manager in the last.
I know, that's why I mean, would you take him?
He punched above his weight at Spurs with the.
I wonder if the hardcore fan base would accept him being a former Spurs manager.
Jono said in the chat he reckons Enrique for him.
Enrique's a good shout, but his style of football is that tiki-taka type of football, which
You haven't got the players to play it.
No. Well,
Not
we don't know. Well, no, we don't know about these new players that's coming in. The millions of new players that came in. What about you, Kai? Who do you think? If you're Todd Boehly today, which I hope you're not, who would you
I'm
go
signing
for?
67 million players.
Yeah, getting inside Todd Boehly's head is something that's not meant for normal people. Otherwise, you'd never return to how you were before. But I think there's an obvious one we're all missing here, and it's De Zerbi from Brighton.
No,
I think it's just going to happen.
Another Brighton man. Let's go.
Oh, look,
Brighton
more
are now
shiny
Chelsea's
things.
Speedy Club.
Yeah, just shiny things get him. Todd Boehly doesn't strike me as a guy to have two managers in charge.
Nah.
It's an offensive and defensive coordinator. He definitely thinks that's a thing.
I think the best thing Todd Boehly's done since taking over at Chelsea is removing himself as sporting director.
Yes.
Which is the best decision he's made.
Yeah,
I did love him just coming in and just go like, how about an All-Stars game? Like that's gonna work. That is definitely going to work.
See the thing is with that idea, it is a good concept, but no,
they do it in other leagues though, don't they? PSG tonight have played the Saudi All-Stars.
Yeah.
John, I don't want to see
North versus
Edward
South,
anywhere
because then
near
you've
the
got Man
league,
City.
never done Chelsea.
I mean, you look at. I mean, if I was, I mean, I'm not saying I want Potter sacked because I want to give Potter time because I do like Potter as a manager. He deserves time. It's not his team. What he's building now is his team, hopefully. But if I was to go, I'd probably say Zidane because of his brand of football. He's attacking. He's got structure as well. He doesn't take any shit off of anyone as well. If you're unhappy, there's a door.
I'd love Zidane to come in because I think he'd fail.
I don't think so.
I think he had so much money to play with at Madrid, and Madrid attract players just on the name.
Yeah.
I don't think Chelsea have that pull at the moment. I think they did a couple of years ago. But I think they do right now.
But does he have the pull himself though? Look at me! I've won 3 Champions Leagues in a row.
Come and play for a team in the mid-table of the Premier League.
For now.
Yeah.
Come and play for a team that's going to get outperformed by Newcastle for the next 5 years.
Until the sports washing gets taken away from them. But I'll kind of end on this one regarding about Chelsea. I think Graham Potter will be there at the end of the season, and I think that we won't get top 6, in my opinion. We might get top 6, but I doubt it. But Potter needs to be given more control of his team and the way he wants to play, the way he wants to set up, instead of Todd Boehly getting his American hands grubby and trying to do it himself. That is
there you go, Chris. John says you might get top 10.
I hope Man United get relegated.
Here's a question for you, Chris, right?
Yeah.
If you don't get European football, Europa League, Europa Conference League, because you're not going to get Champions League.
No.
And how are you going to spend the money you have this year? Because your revenue is going to be cut massively.
Yes, I know, because remember Chelsea are out of debt as well. So Chelsea have 0 debt, but they've got players they can sell on as well for semi-decent money.
So are you going to be challenging Liverpool for the Netspend trophy? Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
They would need to sell. If they finish outside of Europe, they will need to sell.
They're going to have to sell because you've spent so much this year. If you don't get Europe, it'll be.
I think give Chelsea time to bed these new players in. I think they'll just maybe sneak into top 6 because I can see Spurs capitulating. They'll fall down the table, in my opinion, and
they capitulate in games every.
The other thing is Fulham are 6th at the moment. They're not going to stay there, are they?
Do you know? I was actually looking at the table today. Right, Chelsea are not that far off it. Right, they're only 5 points.
You're 11 points behind United.
Oh, right. So we're let's say we're 3 points behind Fulham, and we'll play that game less. So we've still got a game in hand, and then
you're 10 points off 4th.
Yeah,
but the thing is with if that was on the flip side of the table, okay, it's only like 3 or 4 points to get ourselves into a good position. It's like, okay, we're on. But with the frequency of how often these teams in the top 7 win, 7 or 8 points is a big gap, because it's not going to be every week.
Liverpool did
It pretty much starts this weekend between Chelsea and Liverpool. The winner of
I think
has
Chelsea
kind of
I think Chelsea beat Liverpool at the weekend because
both Chelsea and Liverpool are on the same exact points.
Yep. And then
I'd back Liverpool and Chelsea to both get top 6. I think Spurs will bottle it. Fulham and Brighton and Brentford will all eventually fall away.
Because Chelsea just buy Brighton.
Exactly. Brighton, they'll actually be 19 teams.
I mean, Brighton usually fall off near the end of a season.
Right, here's Chelsea's next 3 games, right? So they've got Liverpool on Saturday. They've got Fulham at Stamford Bridge next Friday night. And then the following Saturday, they've got West Ham.
So you've lost at least 2 out of 3 of them. The derbies.
Nah. Chris, interesting question here from Jono. Would you take Conference League, or would you rather a year off from Europe?
Well, if Chelsea to get the Conference League, that's another trophy that Chelsea haven't got yet. So I'll take a Conference League. They won every other European league. They've won every other European league.
I mean, it would also give you an avenue for some of the younger players to play in the Conference League development.
Plus, it's an extra bit of revenue that you wouldn't have if you take a year off.
Exactly.
And the squad depth's fine for it.
Well, I mean, I never understand why fans call cops like that Mickey Mouse, because there's so many positives to take from them.
Exactly. I mean,
for example, West Ham having a terrible season, they could win the Conference League with their terrible Premier League season, and then it turns into a good season.
Yeah.
I mean, Chelsea's next couple of games is actually crucial for them. Like I said, they've got West Ham, then they've got Dortmund in the Champions League right after West Ham.
Then you play Southampton, which is
then they've got Southampton. Then they've got Spurs.
Then Leeds.
We all hate Leeds. But yes, so that is the Chelsea rant over with now, shall we say? It's now time for Boom's FPL roundup. And the person in the background is not paying attention. So, Boom, who is your winners and losers this week in the fantasy football league this week?
Oh, well, the players that done quite well this week, as expected, are Arsenal players. If you had any of them in your team, they've gotten you some good points. Ramsdale clean sheet, which you don't normally expect in a derby, but Spurs were completely non-existent. But some Man City players have let people down this week. For example, Cancelo, Kevin De Bruyne, completely nowhere. And Almiron, Jono's favorite Almiron, has done practically nothing this week.
How many points did Jono's favorite Jack Grealish get this week for his goal against United?
He got more than Almiron, I'll say that, this week.
So if, as you guys know, that you don't know, that Jono has literally got an absolute hatred for Jack Grealish and loves Miguel Almiron.
I myself have got a score of 93 this week, which because I had Garnacho in and he got an assist for the winner against City.
And Boom, who is dead to you this week?
Well, the player that's dead to me has changed a lot today. Because it's people from the game that's currently being played. I'm going to be honest, for most of the 45 minutes, it was going to be Haaland, but he has got himself a goal.
to Kai's relief.
And my relief, he's my captain too, so this week. So he's not dead to me anymore. The player that's dead to me is Harry Kane. 2 games this week, and he's not shown up for either one of them goal-wise. Completely
it's difficult for him to show up because he's playing centre back.
He's playing every position on the pitch these days in one game. But
I genuinely think Conte says to him, just put your boots on and go.
Just run about it.
Just go run around.
Just have a kick about with the lads.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely shambles.
how's the league table doing, Boom? Who's doing what in the league this week?
Well, I have raised up to 10th position, so quite happy with that.
What about Jono? How's he doing? How's he faring?
I will try and see how Jono's
doing
it. if I can find him. I found him. He's in 26th.
What about our other co-host Gormy? How's he doing?
Jono has got a score of 60 points this week because he had, would you believe it, a bunch of Newcastle players. Ooh. He had St. Maximum, who only got 1 point. And Almiron, who got 3. And he played Mitrovic, who missed the penalty by hitting it twice.
He didn't.
He missed it by hitting it twice because of the rules.
You don't see them often anymore.
And unfortunately,
he should be allowed to go in. It's a skill to be able to do that. Yeah. If you can hit a penalty twice with both feet, it's a skill. Let it go in.
Very unfortunate for Jono that he put James Ward-Prowse as the third substitute, so he's not even going to come into the team.
So, who's your tips for this week, Boom? Who do you suggest putting in your fantasy football team this week?
That's a very interesting one because I don't think you should, because there's a lot of big games, so I wouldn't recommend a lot of putting it because you're gambling in this. You could gamble Arsenal's good form to put 1 or 2 of them, but I wouldn't put 3 Arsenal players in because that game could very easily be a draw or anything.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trust at the moment Liverpool players or Chelsea players for that game. You don't know what you're going to get with that.
I'll have you know that Kai Havertz is going to score a quadruple hat trick on Saturday.
Okay, if you want to believe Chris, Kai Havertz is the triple captain.
I don't even believe that myself.
It's because it's very interesting because a lot of teams are playing like big games. So this week it's going to be a great gamble. You have Palace, who just came off a nice draw for themselves. They go against Newcastle. Will Newcastle be able to keep their run going? With wins, Fulham versus Spurs. Do you chance Fulham players in the run that they're on? You could put like a Andreas Pereira in for that one, especially with Spurs' current defense, as we see in the game currently. It's not the best. Villa versus Southampton, there could be some good scores there. So if you want to put either one of their players in, I reckon that could. Maybe James Ward-Prowse not on the bench like Jono.
So, anything else from you, Boom, regarding the financial fair play of the FPL this week?
Nope. I just think Gormy has forgotten his entire FPL because he still has Reece James, Jesus, and Darwin Núñez in his squad.
Right, guys. Well, thank you very much for listening to tonight, and thank you to my guests, Crazy Boom, Kai, and Paul. Thank you very much. Welcome. This is your first ever appearance on here. We hope for more. So, Boom, where can we find you on the socials?
You can find me at crazyboom__ on both Twitter and Twitch, and Boompool on YouTube.
Paul, where can we find you and on your socials?
You can find me on YouTube and Twitter, not Twitch. Used to be Twitch. At the FM Recruiter, mainly tweeting about Wrexham and Football Manager, really. Usually it's complete rubbish, but, feel free to join in.
And Kai, where can we find you?
So, Kai Stats Football on Twitter or Kairhys on TikTok, CAIRHYS.
And where can we find you, Chris?
You can find me on Twitter, Chris_Watt89, and here live most Thursday nights on the Football Nation podcast and on our YouTube page as I present the news for every week. So thank you very much, everyone. Next week we might have a special guest. Who knows? But till then, thank you very much and good night.